From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
Hello! It's great to have you here. You have reached the Badass Counseling Show. Tuned in, found us on your dial. It's great to have you here. This is a lightning round episode where we answer listener questions. We also do counseling episodes of this show, 2 episodes a week. And on this one, we take questions on all things life-related. My name is Sven Erlandson, the host of the show, and I am joined in studio by my cohorts. Whether you are tuning in from Northfield, Minnesota, or Romania, or from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, or Utah, or down under, way down in New Zealand, or over in Sweden, wherever you are, it's great to have you here. I've got KC over in the booth running all things, and then I've got Rob the Rocket right next to me, making sure that all things are running. Rob, what say ye?
Everything's running, and people are checking in on social media with getting ready to give us the questions, and I got a great comment here from Eaton who says, "Oh, hell yeah."
All right.
Never heard it put quite that way, but that works for me.
3, clear, to the point. Hell yeah. So here we go. We are opening with a question, a statement, actually. No question added, but a statement, so we're going to run with it. And it's Ka Johnson. Born in Minneapolis, Swedish hospital. About age 5, my mother sent me to burn trash, big girl stuff. One day it was deformed preterm kittens. Working through many other things. She's 96. We don't talk. No question in there, but I have to assume you're kind of mad at mom for sticking you with that experience when you were 5 years old, that you're going to burn trash and she's sending you and you're having to look at deformed preterm kittens. You don't say if they are alive or dead when you take them to burn them. I can't imagine it matters terribly, but I got to believe it was worse if they were alive, but nonetheless traumatic for that child, that she was carrying the deformed preterm kittens. In other words, to do mom's dirty work, that I now have to kill these beautiful little animals.
Ugh.
It's horrible. And the amount of pain, guilt that child must have felt, and now the amount of rage that you must feel. You say you're working through many other things, and you say she's 96, we don't talk. And I got to believe that her being 96, even though you're not talking, you must feel some guilt over allowing up all the feelings of, potentially rage and anger at her for putting a little girl through that. What a horrible thing for a little girl to have to do. Now, my father and my mother both grew up on farms. They were born in the 20s, living on farms during the Great Depression and World War II and so forth. And they talk about, my father especially, he says you grow up around life, you grow up around death, you grow up around sex and mating, and it's all part of the life and death cycle of animals. And so on one hand, if you grow up in that setting, you grow used to it, but that doesn't necessarily inure you to it. Now, you don't talk about that. You talk about growing up in Minneapolis, presumably grew up in the city, so you're not around that. And even if you were, that would be traumatic, but you're likely not around that. You're born in Minneapolis, okay, and likely growing up in the city, so that would have been even more traumatic. So yeah, there's a lot there, and all that has to come up and come out through your journaling, through your, and including all the guilt and all the sadness that you felt not only back then, but the sadness and the rage you feel now, and perhaps the guilt you feel now over allowing yourself to be angry at a 96-year-old woman who is probably nearing her death. I've got a comment here, totally different direction, and this is from someone here on TikTok. And Dystopia says, "Bro, FYI, you accidentally grabbed your girlfriend's shirt. I guess Bro Dystopia thinks my shirt is too tight." Huh. That's an original fucking comment. I have literally never heard that fucking comment before. And literally, and then Dystopia says, further comment, different topic. Is this really how boomers think / talk? Bro, not a boomer. I'm Gen X. All right. Just for the record. But regarding the shirt comment, I'm not trying to be a dick or anything, but I'm going to be a dick. you get to be like Gen X or you get to be in your 40s. And if a guy made a lot of money or a woman made a lot of money and chose to buy a Ferrari, what is the likelihood they would park that Ferrari in their garage and not drive it? Low, right? And why? You fucking earned enough money, you worked your ass off, and to buy a Ferrari. I'm going to have the world fucking know, yeah, you goddamn right. I earned enough money, I worked my fucking ass off to be able to afford a Ferrari. I'm going to show my fucking Ferrari. So yeah, I drive a Ferrari, and you're going to fucking know that I drive a fucking Ferrari. It's a bit dickish on my part, but yeah, you're right. I wear large t-shirts and I roll the sleeves up. Oh, well. All right, next question. Oh, this is the best part. This is great. He responds, you're obviously coping, which means nothing, and says, and on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. That's the best comment. Tell me you know nothing about TRT without telling me you know nothing about TRT. This is straight creatine and hard-ass motherfucking work. And the mere fact that you don't know this says you don't know what real workouts are, princess. You don't know. You want to get in the fucking gym? Come on into the gym with me. Former competitive powerlifter, D1 athlete, NCAA strength coach. Go in for 4 hours, get lit on fucking caffeine, and hit it hard. I've never had to take testosterone replacement therapy. You want to know why? Because I don't care. Because I can still get results from hard work. All right, let's get back to the work. The boomer comment. I love the one who just commented. Somebody commented, said, Gen X don't play. That's right, baby. Gen X don't play. All right, guys, let's get to work. What we came here for. And the kids can go back to the kids' table. And Rob, feel free to chime in. They're flying. The questions are coming
I got one on YouTube
here.
from Spirited Brunette, who says, hey, Sven, been working through the book and came to the realization that I've been alone my whole effing life. What questions can I journal on to work through this?
Okay, you want to start with, and what's the name on that one?
That would be Spirited Brunette.
Spirited Brunette. Start with, I believe in starting, you can either start big or start small. And I believe in starting big. So if you and I were in counseling, I'd ask you the question, what's the single hardest part right now? Put it in one sentence or less. In fact, put it in a sentence. Don't do less. Because if you put it in less, you might put a word like guilt. Okay, well, then I'm going to follow it up with like guilt over what? Or anger. Well, anger over what? So put it in one sentence. And then drill down on that one sentence. Okay, well, what's the hardest part? The hardest part is that no one wants to be with me, or that I feel unlovable. Well, why do I feel this way? Where did it start? What's really going on inside of me? And always name the feelings that go with it. What are the feelings? Sadness, rage, anger, aloneness. Start journaling on those. When have I started? When is it I most frequently feel those feelings? When did I first start feeling those feelings? And all you're trying to do is just keep asking questions. You want to get the mentality, and this sounds silly, but I want you to get the mentality of a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old saying, why? Why? Why, mom? Why, mom? Why, dad? Why? Take that mentality and just keep hectoring yourself with more questions and keep, well, what's the hardest part? And another good one is when? Well, when did it start? When might it have started? Or when did it stop? Well, why did it start then? I don't know. We'll take a shot at it. Why did it stop then? Whens and thens, okay? Another great question, perhaps the ultimate question, or one of the ultimate questions is, what's my biggest fear in this whole thing? You guys have heard me say it before. If you're ever trying to understand why someone's doing something that doesn't make sense, always ask yourself the question, what's the biggest fear driving the behavior? Then speculate the answers, bullet point the possible answers, all of them, even the ones that seem ridiculous. Bullet point the possible answers and go with the biggest, hairiest, scariest one, because that's always what it is. Invariably, even if it's love driving the equation, something below that is some fear. And I know that may sound cynical. It's not really about cynical. It's just, this is what it is. It's fear driving. I'm not to say that it isn't love as well, or altruism as well. I'm not saying those are absent, but there's always some fear operating. And what's keeping someone locked in a pattern or a behavior system that doesn't seem to make sense, there's some fear operating there. I fucking guarantee it. So you got a whole host of things you can run with now. Spirited Brunette. All right, next question.
You can talk about your shirt if you want.
Well, it's funny because here we go. This is great. We've got a fucking theme for the show. Amy Hallcran says, how about some real counseling? Who cares about that guy? All he is doing is being negative. That's a good point. And that's why I shifted off it. But then somebody else commented and went by quickly. Somebody said, well, why aren't you counseling that guy or offering that guy counseling? Because he came in hot. He's just wanting attention, right? It's obviously somebody, didn't get enough attention. Girlfriend broke up with him. Mommy didn't give him enough attention 30 years ago, whatever it is. And I get this a lot. People say, well, Sven, in comments on posts and so forth, you come in very hot, or somebody will get upset if I respond in a hot way. Hey, you're supposed to be a counselor. And what I tell people is, listen, if you want the type of counseling that is, the Zen Buddhist monk on a mountainside, I'm not that. And that's very effective counseling for a lot of people. It really is. The calm, compassionate, the patter, the soft tones, that's really good stuff for a lot of people. But then there are people who just respond more to assertive, in your face, plain talk, swearing, aggressive. And the people who stick around long enough understand that I come from a place of compassion, that it's done in love. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to do battle with the dragons inside of you. I come out of love for you to take on those voices that God implanted in you a very, very long time ago, undermining your worth. Those messages that got pushed into the wet cement of your soul, telling you you don't have worth, telling you you're unlovable, telling you that you're unwantable, or you're not good enough, because that's the stuff that's undermining you from the inside. All right, next question. All right. And Brendan North said, absolutely, that's why I bought your book, because of the way you present your information. All right.
I'm here.
All right, if you got one, lay it on me, Rob.
This is from Goat Farmer on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I've noticed a few alcoholic friends quit drinking and then wind up becoming narcissists. Were they like this all along and the booze suppressed it?
Well, my question would be, in what way are they becoming narcissists? And what are you seeing that to you indicates they're becoming narcissists? See, one of the things that and this is actually a really great question, a great thing to come up. I'm not doubting that what you're seeing is true. Okay. So I want you to know that up front. But when people come to me for counseling, over the last 30 years, one of the things that they're hiring me for is to look for blind spots in their thinking, in their feeling, because the blind spots are often revealing things. So let's just take this notion that they become narcissists. Okay. If someone's drinking excessively or engaging in any behavior to excess over a long period of time, in all likelihood, they're running from something. They're running from something inside of themselves. Okay. And the healing comes when we finally go into the very thing we're running from, that tidal wave of all the feelings, the thoughts, and the bullshit beliefs we've been taught about ourselves. When we finally turn and face it and allow that tidal wave of all that stuff to wash over us and begin to sort it out and flush out all that's going on inside of us with regard to it. Okay. But what then happens is we change. You cannot heal and not change. And the whole reason you're choosing to heal is because you want to change. And oftentimes the ways you find yourself changing are in ways you didn't even think you would. But the changes you're making now are ways you want to change. Now, if I'm in a friendship, let's say, with someone who has gone through such a change and actually done the work to heal themselves, or if I'm in a love relationship with such a person, or a family member has gone through such a change, then this person, especially if they're working with me, I'm trying to tune them into becoming who they really are. But one of the things I talk about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, is I talk about how the more you become your most authentic self, the more you be, say, do, and become on the outside who you really are on the inside. In other words, the more you lead a seamless life, there's no seam anymore, like the seam running down the side of your pants that stitches together two fabrics. The more you create a seamless life where it's one fabric, an integrated life from inside to outside, you're integrated. The more you do that, the more you put out there who all that you be, say, do, and become who you really are. Three things begin to happen. One, you start to lose people and or walk away from people. You start to lose people who are married to the idea of who you used to be. People who want you to keep being who you always were. And likely they want you to be that because they benefited from that. The second thing that happens, and furthermore, going back to the first one, that's what keeps a lot of people stuck in who they've always been, is the fear of losing people, fear of getting those criticisms from people if I express my real self, and those criticisms would hurt. It's one thing to be criticized for a fake version of yourself, but to put your real self out there and get those criticisms or those questions or those doubts or the undermining stuff would be so painful because now it's my real self that I've never shown the world. Okay, so you start to lose people, and that's painful, and the thought of doing it is terrifying. So a lot of people choose not to become their authentic self because it's the thought of losing as a result of it, losing the very people that they feel obligated to love or whose love they think they depend on and need to live is too scary, when in fact they realize also that they're locked into a loop, that they're depending on the love from people who want them to be a false version of themselves. Well, eventually the pain gets bad enough and they choose to change anyway. And so the second thing that happens, the more you be, say, do, and become on the outside who I really am on the inside, is you start to effortlessly attract people. We've all been around people who burn clean energy. People who are just naturally lighter and freer and just have this clean energy about them. And I don't mean they're happy all the time. Those are often the biggest phonies there are. No, just people who are naturally, they just have a buoyancy about them. You feel their energy. And we've all been around people who have a heavy energy. They're not bad people, they're just heavy. And there are people who are just light. They've done the work. It's different, okay? And they don't talk about, oh, I've done the work, like they're selling, like they're trying to convince me or some shit. All right? But you begin to effortlessly attract people. And then the third thing that happens is sort of next level shit. And that is shit starts to fall out of the sky. Shit you didn't even see coming. I mean, good shit. But the point is the fear is losing people. And that's what keeps so many people stuck in being who they've always been. And so it takes the courage to do it anyway, to choose to begin to put your authentic self out there. So the real question becomes, has your pain gotten bad enough yet where you're willing to do that? So back to this person's question. Well, this person has become a narcissist. Maybe they've just become themselves, and the people around them still want them to be who they always were. Maybe. I'm not saying this is the case, and want them to be who they always were, and I'm no longer on the receiving end of them always being who they always were and giving the way they always gave. And now it seems like they're serving themselves more. Yeah, that may well be true, because maybe they actually have healed. Maybe they actually are creating boundaries. I'm not saying this is the case because I have no way of knowing because I don't know the person. And so it looks like narcissism to me because I'm not on the receiving end of all the goodies that came with them being the old giver that they always were, stuck in their old self of being an extreme giver, perhaps. So without knowing more information, I couldn't give more insight on that. Kay Schreiner comments on that on Facebook, and she says, losing people is great and still disturbing at times. Agreed. Eagles fly alone. Chickens and turkeys are in flocks. And yet at times we want to be a chicken and a turkey. At times it feels good to have a flock. It really does. And at times it feels good to fly alone. I think we can all agree to that, right? KDT says, this is literally what I'm going through right now. Some people really don't like it when you heal. That's right. And they want to keep you stuck in who you are, and they will exercise their power that they have had over you to try to keep you stuck in who you were. That, yeah, for sure, Katie. Here we go. Vegas, baby. Ask this question. Do you feel it is important to try to fix my relationship with my 86-year-old dad? Well, in a way, I totally get your question, but in a way, it's the wrong question. The real question is, do you feel it's important to fix your relationship with your 86-year-old dad? Now, you wouldn't be asking that question unless part of you feels it is important and wants to. Yet, obviously, a part of you thinks it's a lost cause, right? Because in truth, your old man's 86. So if your old man's 86, let's say you're at least 50, 60, right? Which means your dad has had 50 or 60 years to try to fix the fucking relationship and obviously doesn't give a shit enough to do so. But that also implies you've had 50 or 60 years and it's been scary as fuck, the idea of doing so, or you've tried to do so and it has gone nowhere. I'm betting it's either this scary or it seems hopeless, because anytime you've tried it has. I'd bet on the scary. because you're saying, is it worth it to try, which implies you haven't tried before, or you've gotten little indicators. But do you feel it's important to try? I'm betting the bottom line is you're still wanting something from your father. You're not doing it for him. Obviously, he's fine with it. Otherwise, he would have made effort to try to fix it. Unless you've blocked him out of your life for the last 20 or 30 years or some shit. But even still, he would have made effort. But you don't really indicate that. You're talking about you trying, which indicates to me you're wanting something. And I'm willing to bet my left testicle if Vegas were giving me odds. And your handle here on TikTok is Vegas, baby, but can't give me odds on this. I'd bet my left testicle if Vegas were giving me odds that you are wanting love, finally, some sort of confirmation of your worth that you never got when you were younger from your father. And you believe that if somehow we can fix it, I can finally, in older age, get that very thing that I never got, that love, that connection, that hit. And what's underneath that love, what's underneath that connection is fundamentally him seeing you. And maybe even what you're seeking is that acknowledgement of all that he was or all that he wasn't. Wishing he had been more, wishing he had been better, that he had met your love needs, poured love into your love cup back then, your little love cup. And he didn't. Otherwise, you would have had that fucking relationship now. Right. And so what you're seeking is confirmation of the worth, of your worth, which implies you likely haven't had it this entire time. You've maybe even made a good life, but there's still been that hole inside of you. If I could just get dad to confirm my worth. And the belief is that I'm in this jail cell and dad and only dad has the key to get me out of it. And that's the mistaken belief. That's the fallacy. I get why you think that. I do. The very person who took it, you believe, is the very person who can give it back. And if I could get it, then I could finally have some peace. If I could get confirmation of my worth and acknowledgement of my reality and what he put me through, then I could finally have some peace inside of me and I wouldn't spend all my life trying to get my love cup filled from other people, that I would feel good about myself, finally. So fundamentally, if this is in fact the case, your father still owns you. You're still in that jail cell. And again, only he has the key. But the truth is that he caused a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, 11-year-old to believe that they don't have worth. And you've been trying to unring that bell by trying to win his love, likely for a very, very, very long time, to no avail. But that's predicated on the belief that mom and dad are good, mom and dad love me. Therefore, if I'm not getting dad's love, I must be the problem. Something's wrong with me. Because mom and dad loves me. Dad's good. But what does it say that here you are 80 years later, or not 80 years later, 50 years later, 60 years later, and you still don't feel loved? Is that an indicator that dad loved you? Let me ask you, did you feel loved as a child? Were they actually good parents if here you are, dad's on his fucking deathbed or damn near, and you're still basically trying to create a relationship where you get love from your dad? What does that say? Does it say that mom and dad loved you? It seems to indicate to me that regardless of what their feelings may or may not have been, feelings really didn't fucking matter because their actions and their words did not convey the message. And there are a lot of people who say, oh, just fucking get over it. You know, they did their best. Who gives a fuck if they did their best or not? And I would argue that they didn't, but that's a separate discussion. Who gives a fuck? The bottom line is the job of the parent is to convey love and emotional support to the child, not just food and shelter. Jesus, it's not that hard a fucking equation. Give love to a child? Really? That's such a high fucking bar? And they didn't. And to the point where you're still wanting it now, 5-6 decades fucking later. Right. So has it occurred to you that mom and dad weren't good and or they didn't love you? Because the only other belief you can have is that the reason you weren't getting the love for 5-6 decades, especially when you were a child, is that there was something innately wrong with the child, which means you have to then create a belief system that says that a child could be actually innately unworthy of love. Are you prepared to defend that position? Because I've got literally thousands of people right now watching this podcast who might disagree with the belief that a child can be innately unlovable. Can a child be innately, intrinsically unlovable? Do you understand how this applies to a whole lot of you right now? Somehow you got the belief when you were a child that you are not worthy. How can a child be not worthy of love? Somehow you got the belief that you had to earn it. Somehow you got the belief that you're unwantable, that you're not desirable. How can a child be not wantable, not desirable. Somehow you got the message that you don't matter, or the real you doesn't matter. You just matter to meet mom or dad's needs or whoever raised you. How could a child not matter? I'm curious. Construct an argument, please. It's fucking bullshit. You were taught a lie. It wasn't true then, and it's not true now. The notion that you're not worthy of love, that you in and of yourself are not good, not wantable, not good enough, that you have to earn love is asinine. And yet we just keep perpetuating this goddamn cycle. And we have adults believing it. And as a result, building relationships and suffering from broken relationships or suffering within relationships that are fundamentally predicated on that belief that I'm not worthy of love. And remember what I write in my book, there's a hole in my love cup. Unhealthy people come in twos, not ones. In other words, if you're unhealthy or if your spouse is unhealthy, the other person is as well. Sorry. A healthy person, by definition, will not get into a relationship or long stay in a relationship with an unhealthy person. So parenthetically, if you are in a relationship with someone who is saying, I'm fucking healed, I've seen the light, Lord of Jesus, I'm healed. No, they haven't. Not if they're staying, and they're saying you're unhealed, but they're staying in a fucking relationship with you? Nope. You don't stay in a fucking relationship with an unhealed person. That's somebody just trying to fucking manipulate you to keep pouring love into their fucking love cup. And they're going to keep fucking letting you suck hind tit while you pour love into their love cup. It's their way of saying, I'm not fucking pouring into you. Fuck you. All right. Next question. We're going to take a few more here.
Sven, this would be a great time to tell the folks a little bit about Community Plus.
Yeah. Community Plus. We have a couple of groups operating. We had a lot of people wanting a group experience of badass counseling, more than just me, and or more access to badass counseling type stuff. And so we created a Facebook counseling, or the Facebook group, and it's called Badass Counseling Group on Facebook. There's about 45,000 members, and it's a great group. And we have moderators and so forth. But for a lot of people, that's just too big. And they said, Sven, I'm happy to pay a fee or whatever. I want a smaller group, more intimate group. And quite honestly, Sven, if we can get more access to you, that would be really over the moon. And so we created Community Plus. It's on Badass Counseling website, badasscounseling.com. And you pay a fee each month. It's not cheap, but what you get is direct access to me twice every month. We have drawings every month for free counseling with me, small group counseling with me. We have free drawings every month for free one-on-one counseling with me. We also have free direct access to our top videos, do-it-yourself video courses, priority pass access to come on the Badass Counseling Show and get free counseling with me, priority pass access to go to the head of the waiting list if you actually want to purchase counseling. And it's really a fantastic group. It's called Community Plus. It's on the Badass Counseling website.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform, and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
And we are back to the lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. So many great questions today. This is delightful. Casey asked a question. It's one we get frequently, but it never gets old because so many of us are going through it. In fact, I see about 3 questions here over on TikTok of people asking the same question, and one person just threw it up there on Facebook as well. So I'm going to take a quick swing at this one. And Casey asks, what's the best way to let go of a relationship that didn't work out? Best way to let go of a relationship is by not trying to let go. And I know that sounds like, counterintuitive, man. That's cool. No, it's fucking stupid. But when just left as is. But Casey, what I mean by that is the way we let go of something is by holding on as tightly as we can. What I mean by that is the reason you're holding on to a relationship is because you still have feelings regarding that person. Okay. And more often than not, what keeps us still bonded, still cleaved to a person is the feelings of love. You may have anger and rage and betrayal and sadness, but those are things that want us to push away a person, right? And those need to come out as well. But if you're bonded to a person, that's a pulling to feeling. And the pulling to feelings are like, love, longing, lust, the L ones. Didn't occur to me till right now that we had an alliteration going on, like, love, longing, lust. That's great. I love alliterations. Say that 3 times fast. Love alliteration, love alliteration, love alliteration. Oh, I guess it's not as hard as I thought. All right, alliteration. Stringing a bunch of words together that all start with the same letter. Anyway, best way to let go of a relationship then is you need to journal on and write letters on all the feelings of love, longing, lust, and like that you feel for that person, as well as the feelings of betrayal, hatred, anger, rage, sadness, disappointment, frustration, all of those feelings as well. And you need to get into the work holding on to those feelings, sitting in those feelings while flushing them out, giving them words. But it's especially the loved ones. And part of the reason we don't want to really think about the loved ones is because they hurt. It hurts to think about how much you miss that person. It hurts to think about the longing. It hurts to think about all the warm memories. On top of that, best way to let go of a relationship that didn't work out, go to your favorite restaurant you like to go to, or that bagel shop you guys would go to every Saturday morning for a bagel. Go there. Bring your journal with. Write them a letter from the bagel shop that you don't send. Or journal. Go for a walk at the Arboretum that you guys used to like to go for a walk at. Or, you know what? If you still have his sweatshirt that he left behind, i.e. you stole, put it on. Smell him. Journal about it. Bring up all those feelings and keep bringing up the feelings because it's not the memories that are keeping you stuck in the past. One of your feet wants to move forward. One of your feet is still stuck in the past. And in order to swing that foot from the past, swing it forward to go forward, it's what's keeping it stuck is not the memories, it's the feelings that are charged, that are attached to those memories. You have to decharge those by welcoming them up and flushing them out. And we want to facilitate that. And the ways to facilitate that are engaging all of the senses that will facilitate, they'll bring up those memories. So go to the favorite restaurant, go to the Arboretum, watch the favorite movie, put on the sweatshirt, the tactile senses, smell the perfume, taste the bagel. And all of those are going to elicit those memories and the charged feelings. And then you use the tools such as talking it out with your best friend or that favorite auntie that you love to talk about, or journaling it out, or writing a letter to the person. Now, for those of you that ask the question, well, Sven, I don't like to write. No, it's not about you don't like to journal. Bullshit. You don't like going into the feelings that the journaling brings up. Fuck you. You write for anything. You write a note to yourself to pick up your dry cleaning. Please, you don't like to write. It's not about grammar or anything like that. You don't want to go into the fucking feelings. So what some people do is they take their fucking phone and they talk into their phone, talk to text for their journaling, which I'm not a fan of, but it's a start. I'm open to encouraging that as long as you go back into it then and edit it. Because talking it out into a phone is getting you in the ballpark, but it's easy to talk it out without thinking about it. But by going back in and reading it and editing it, in other words, oh, I want to add these 3 words, or because sometimes talk to text doesn't pick up words, and then it's go back, tweaking it. What that forces you to do is go back in and stay in it. When you're journaling, when you're writing it out, your hand, even if you're typing it on your computer, which I do a lot of sometimes, your fingers cannot move as fast as your brain is thinking it. That means you are forced to stay in the thoughts and the feelings longer. That's part of the goal. Furthermore, when you are typing it out, when you are talking, journaling it out, you see it. And when we see what's going on, we have greater revelations. We can see something that's like, oh, fuck, wow, I didn't think about that. Because now it's out of us. It's the difference between being in a problem where you're in it right now and it's all around me in every direction and I'm seeing it and I'm tasting it and I'm feeling it and I'm in it, versus when I put it out of me, now I'm looking at it. It's a prepositional difference. It's the difference between in it versus looking at it. Now it's not part of me, it's outside of me, and I can see it much more clearly. So by journaling about it and having to look at it, we're playing with our prepositions, and that matters when it comes to doing the work and enables us to see it more clearly. All right. To which Phoebe says, can that work with a loved one who died? It is absolutely meant for exactly that. Any sort of situation where you need to let go or move past something. Lola Lemon asks the question, how do I fill my own love cup after cutting off my family? 2 things. One, the problem isn't filling your love cup, even though it feels like it. per se. Very often when people talk about filling their love cup or wanting to make themselves happy, and I talk about this in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. One of the biggest mistakes people make in trying to get happy is they do more things to make them happy. Biggest mistake you can make. That's only 50% of the equation. What has to precede that is you have to remove all of the things that suck the life out of you, that bleed your energy, that bore you, that numb you, that you have to conjure up energy to do. And to which you would respond, well, I just cut off my family, Sven. So doesn't that kind of indicate that I'm doing exactly that? Yes, it does. However, the real problem isn't the people outside of you. It's the belief system inside of you. It's the thoughts, the beliefs, the fears, etc., inside of you. And so it's sort of spring here in New England. And in springtime, you guys have heard me talk about this before, as in, the far north where I grew up, Minnesota, and other parts of the United States and Canada. In spring, what do? You got to go back out there, because after you did your last raking of leaves from your lawn in October and November, you know that more leaves fucking fell. And they got on your fucking garden, and they stayed there because you didn't want to go back out because now it's fucking cold, and I don't want to rake when it's this cold. Fuck it, I'll take care of it in the spring. So now it's March, April, May, you got to go out there, you got to rake it out. Well, then it's been mixed with the snow and the rain and mud, and so it's heavier, and you're raking it all out. And as you rake off the pack of crud from winter, what happens? The flowers now effortlessly grow up through the soil. The daffodils, the jonquils, the lily of the valley, the peonies, etc., the irises, etc., effortlessly. So where I'm going with this, Lola Lemon, is the more you go about the work of removing more of the crud inside of you, your authentic self, will effortlessly grow up. It's not out there. There's nothing to be done per se, except continue to remove the fears, the pains, and the bullshit beliefs you have been taught about yourself. If you simply do that, continue to dive in and remove that stuff from inside of you, your own natural passions, desires, interests will effortlessly grow up from within, and you will effortlessly have the energy to go and pursue, or to stay and pursue, or whatever, to move in the directions of those things that fill your love cup. So there will be no how-to. The how-to will be self-evident. All right. We're going to take one or two more questions here. All right. And Tracy asked the question, how do you reset your brain from all the verbal abuse, always being told everything was your fault? Precisely in the exact way I just got done telling the last person about how to go about filling your own love cup. Lola, I said, you got to go inside and start naming those things and journaling it out. Resetting your brain from all the verbal abuse. You don't necessarily reset as in putting in new language and so forth. There's some of that, but basically it's by continuing to flush out all the negative that is in there. And being told everything was your fault, you said, by journaling about and writing letters about how it made you feel and what those messages were. And I bullet pointing those. And if you got to do this every single day or multiple times a week, and all the feelings that has brought up and all the impact of those messages that you were taught about yourself, that's what you need to do. But in this particular case, Tracy, I strongly recommend that you get the book, because it's going to walk you through the process. The book is There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and it's available as audiobook, ebook, paperback, Spanish, French, and German. And we actually have Swedish coming out, and there's also a workbook that goes with it, and that's at badasscounseling.com. TN, Tennessee Tall Girl, asked the question, should you ever share your thoughts with the person you're trying to let go? The question is, why would you want to? There's nothing wrong with it. It's not that you should or shouldn't. If you want to, go for it. Why not? But I raised the question, why would you want to? If you're trying to let go of someone, and this sounds a little bit dickish, but just go with me here. If you're trying to let go of someone, why are you even having contact with them in the first place? And at least, why are you having contact about personal things? Which raises the question, people say, well, Sven, can you be friends with an ex? And I always say, of course you can. It's just, you probably can't right away. It's extraordinarily difficult. If someone still wants to be friends right away, it's just too hard. Why? Because usually that's one person proposing it because they still want to keep the shot of getting their foot in the door. They still want the relationship, and they don't want to well, can we still be friends? And if the other person says yes, then you've now got a little puppy that's going to follow you around. They're going to try to find a way to get back into your life. And you're going to have to close that door in about 3 months or 6 months when you realize, fuck, they didn't get the point. Yeah, they didn't get the point because you didn't close the fucking door. All right. Or it's the other person who's trying to end the relationship saying, well, let's still be friends. Because they don't want to come right out and say it. I don't want any more contact, and I don't want a little puppy following me around, but I don't have the balls to look you in the face and say I want to end the relationship. So they're trying to sort of slow walk out of the relationship. Well, in about 6 months or 9 months, they're going to have to fucking close the fucking door hard because they realize this person's become a fucking drag. All right? And so you're saying, should you ever share your thoughts with the person you're trying to let go? You can. There's nothing wrong with it, Tennessee. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to ask yourself, why are you doing it? It tells me you're likely still wanting something from that person. Potentially, it's because you're not wanting to let go, or you're still wanting some sort of connection. You're still wanting some sort of, maybe it's confirmation of your worth, or you're still wanting some measure of love or something from the person. Otherwise, just let go and move on. But if you've had this person as perhaps your fundamental love source, then you're wanting confirmation of what you've been doing. You're not getting love or attention from anyone else, and it's hard to let go of that. And if that's been your conversation person, your go-to person, it's hard to let go of that. And I get that. I've done that, so I'm not dogging you for it. But if you're trying to let go of someone, it doesn't make any sense to share it. But again, if you need to do it for a while, fucking do it. Nothing's being harmed in the making of this movie. All right. You have to understand, Renee wants me to answer. It says, any chance to get to my question answered today? Renee, I don't mean to be rude, but I got about hundreds of questions coming up just on Facebook, not to mention TikTok and YouTube. I will try to answer your question. If you'd put it up, I will do my best to try to get to it, but I'm going to go to Rob first, and then I'll try to get to yours, Renee. All right. Go ahead, Rob.
All right, Sven, on YouTube, I'm going to abbreviate this one. SJ Cool says, I just left a relationship of 6.5 years with an abusive narcissist-type man. I allowed him to abuse me emotionally, mentally, and physically, even though I knew better. Why did I do this? Please help me understand. And then sort of answers the question, his or herself. He mirrored every way my parents treated me, ? WTF. Quoting here.
Well, listen to what you just said. Rob, you said sort of answers her own question. So you run with this one, Rob. I like that. I know. Come on. I love this. I love this so much, Rob. What would you say is sort of, what would you say? You're a wise man.
Yeah. Sven, all I can say is what you would say, because I've listened to you for about, 300 hours now?
Get out of my fucking head, Sven.
Yeah, you're in my head. Look, SJ Cool, it's because somebody put the thought into your head that you weren't worth it. And so you're so attached to this guy, even though you know he's bad for you, because you don't have any faith in yourself, because somebody told you didn't matter. Yeah. So figure that out and then don't do it again.
Well, yeah, and so two things. He's exactly right. First of all, it was normalized for you. So this is normal. And so there's that this is what you're used to. Being treated this way was what you were used to. And so you were also conditioned then that expecting anything more, you didn't deserve it. Right? And so if you were to ever get just love from someone, you would freak out. You would not know what to do, and you wouldn't even trust it. You'd be waiting for the other shoe to drop, because you were conditioned to believe that if you got love into your love cup, it had to come with pain. There had to be crud in there and then love, crud and love, because that's what you got growing up. And if the crud wasn't coming, you would always be on your toes like, when's it going to fall? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Then when the shit finally came, it would be a relief, because now there's not the anticipation of the shit coming. All right? So there's that. But you allowed it because you so desperately want love, right? And so you'll tolerate shit. And part of your problem is that you're so strong. Strength gets in the way. Oh, I can handle it. Oh, this is no big deal. I've handled this shit before, right? And because you can tolerate so fucking much, because they conditioned you to believe that you ain't worth a shit, you're just worth this shitty version of love that isn't even really love, that you can handle it and you can tolerate it. So you can tolerate so much shit and for tiny amounts of love. Right? That's why you did it. because I just need that love. I need some sort of confirmation of worth. I just need someone to be here, just someone. And when I'm so desperate that I need someone, I will endure all manner of shit, because once you leave, all those voices inside of me from my past come roaring up into my head. And they churn in my head. See, I'm no good. See, I'm a loser. See, I'm unlovable. See, I'm not good enough, right? And those voices are more scary than having a person in your life who's a fucking asshole. That's how scary those fucking voices are from the past. All right.
You know, they can even sort of be a comfort, because you say to yourself, yeah, I guess they were right.
That's right. Oh, absolutely. Yep. See, I'm no good. And you know, this is actually interesting, because one of the questions I ask some of my clients is, which is worse for you? And there's no right or wrong answer. Everybody's different. But which is worse for you? A parent who gives no love whatsoever, which is actually tragically far more common than you would think, or a parent that gives love and crap, love and shitty treatment, love and shitty treatment, love and shitty treatment. And everyone's different. Is it the parent that gives no love at all, or every adult child of that sort of situation, or some sort of situation like that, has a different answer? But you'd be shocked how many people say to get the love and the shitty treatment is worse, because then that becomes your operating definition of love. Whereas if you're never getting the love from a parent, you don't ever expect it, and you sort of know that's not love. Whereas when you're getting both, you sort of expect that then, and then you tolerate all manner of shit in your future relationships. But also, in answer to your question, you need to get the book in order to help you to heal. It'll take you into that deepest, darkest shit and get you out of that extreme giver shit. But you got to have the courage to go into it, man. You got to have the courage to go into that stuff. Now, I made a promise over here on Facebook that I would take this one last question. Okay, now Erica here, actually, Kay says either one is bad. Erica says a parent who doesn't care is worse. Fair enough. These are all fair answers.
Got a few nice attaboys here. Rebecca says, thank you, Sven. Because of your advice, I now sponsor 2 people in AA. Wow. You're the best.
No, you're the best. You're the one doing the work.
And Soul Search says, I don't have a question. I just want you and Rob to know I appreciate your wisdom, and I am always learning and improving. Nice.
I love that.
And Barry says, thank you for your reiterations and reminders.
All right.
I'll take it.
Thanks, guys. All right, here we go. Got it. Renee Rowe Whitaker says, I'm asking what to do after a 40-year marriage to a schizoid. I'm suffering in silence. 5 grown kids and 10 grandkids. Is it worth a divorce? Okay. I'm asking what to do after a 40-year marriage to a schizoid. It sounds like you are still married to a 40-year marriage to a schizoid. I am suffering in silence, which implies you're still in the relationship. I have 5 grown kids and 10 grandkids. Is it worth a divorce? 40-year marriage, let's say you got married when you were 25 randomly. So you're 65 now. I'm just spitballing on your age. So you're in your 60s. Is it worth a divorce? Well, the mere fact that you are asking this question and indicating 40 years to a person who has mental illness that has clearly been very, very difficult for you, otherwise you wouldn't be asking this question, says you are in a lot of suffering and have been for a very long time. So in the end, only you can answer that question. Is it worth a divorce? But let's run the numbers. Likelihood of you dying in the next 5 years, low. Likelihood of you living at least 15 more years, high. Likelihood of you living 25 more years, moderate. Right? Unless you don't mention any diseases that you might be carrying that are causing imminent death. Is it worth a divorce? Listen, I'm going to be just totally straight with you from where I'm sitting. You're asking for my perspective on this question. And I'll open it up to, badass land. I'll let everyone else weigh in, especially those who are in or around over 55, 60, 65. Let you guys weigh in. Would you, if you were in a relationship, and maybe you have been, that was oppressive, that was unwieldy, that hurt for so long, would you get a divorce over 60? Because you've got to be at least over 60 if you've had a 40-year marriage, right? In all likelihood, or damn near 60. Okay. But I'm going to say this. I believe I have clients who come to me in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. Why? Sven, I'm sick of living this way, and I don't give a shit if I only live 5 more years. I want to feel alive for the first time in my life, even if I only get 5 years out of it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
With you. And Rob's, well, I don't know. Do you tell your age?
I'm in my 8th decade.
All right. But now do your math on it, folks. It's like the 19th century isn't the 1900s. It's the 1800s. All right. Just for the record. All right. Anyway, I'm a believer in aliveness. I mean, why? I think the worst crime, honestly, Renee, I think the worst crime is to get to 85 and say, fuck, man. 20 years ago, I asked that idiot on his fucking radio show, on his podcast, I could have had 20 good years and I chose to stay in this shithole. I think the real tragedy of life is knowing that I could choose aliveness by making some hard decisions and knowing I didn't choose aliveness and wishing, God damn it, why didn't I do it? Because the truth is, I guarantee you, this is not the first time you thought about getting a divorce. I guarantee you thought about it at 50, at 40 perhaps, at 30. And I'll bet part of you somewhere in you wishes you had. And here you are again, and every day you're thinking, should I today? Should I today? Should I today? Should I today? What's changed? Nothing, except for the fact that in a way, you're more free to do it now than you were when you were fucking 40. Far more free. Your kids are grown. Everybody's good. They don't need you. Everybody's good. You don't bear responsibility to anyone, and sure as shit, not him. Any dues you owed, you have more than paid. Not to say that you had any dues, but I'm just saying. When do you finally live for you? When does your happiness finally matter? When do you find, even if you only got your own little apartment, I have no idea what your financial situation would be. You don't bring it up. I'm not going to worry about it. Even if you only had your own little apartment, you said, you know what? For the first time in my life, my plant, my Sansevieria, and I'm going to put my plant right there. My plant, my shelf. And I like my plant, and I like my shelf, and I like my plant right. No, I like it right actually there. That makes me happy. And my Tuesday evenings, I've never done it before, but I like bowling. And I'm going to learn to bowl, or whatever it is. That you finally begin to define your life based on you, and not just what you want, but what you don't want anymore. It means to come alive. A lot of people seek peace in life. Peace is good if all you've ever had is chaos. Peace is beautiful. Peace is glorious. But part of what peace is also is peace is finding and having the courage to pursue that path that breathes aliveness into your life. I am a believer in aliveness. Badass counseling is about one thing above all else. It's about aliveness. So you ask me, is it worth it to get a divorce? Hell yes. Because potentially you have 20 or God help you 30 more years. 30 more years. Are you fucking kidding me? That's 50% of the time. That means you still have a 30-year life left. Wouldn't you rather be alive? Yeah. Is there going to be some work between now and getting to the, 2 years to get a divorce or however long it would take? Yes. Yes. Great. The analogy I like to draw is an electric fence around a dog, around this yard or whatever. And that dog is like, just down the road, there are bitches to chase. Hey, I can use that word here because that's what you call, it's a boy dog, female dogs. I can use that word, all right? And there are cars to chase, and there are bones and trash cans, and there are holes to dig. Joy, freedom is on the other side of that fucking electric fence, but damn, does that electric fence hurt. But if that dog would just lean in, push through those 5 feet and a bit of pain, he's free. Free at last, free at last. Free to be alive and run and jump and dig and chase and just be a dog. Yeah, Renee, I do think it's worth it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what I think. All that matters is what you think, and you should be journaling your fucking ass off and getting out all your fears, your trepidation, your guilt, your anxiety, your sadness, your love, your longing, all that. Be journaling it out, and I strongly recommend you also get the book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. Audiobook, ebook, paperback, Spanish, German, French, and workbook at badasscounseling.com, as well as my book, Badass Wisdom, the 366-day daily meditational, inspirational book, also badasscounseling.com. Rob, you get final conversational pieces today. What say ye?
Never too late, and just let go of the regret that it took this long. Never too late. As James Taylor said in Secret of Life, since we're only here for a while, might as well show some style. Give us a smile. How about that?
And who's saying, we're only dancing on this earth for a short time? Well, we're young. Well,
Yeah. And that was Cat Stevens.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yusef Perez. Or
Yusuf,
whatever.
everybody. Yusuf.
Yusef. I guess there was no last name with the Yusuf. Not Yusef Perez. Don't know why I said that. All right. So, guys, this has been absolutely delightful. Wonderful questions. Thank you all for all of them. And we are going to call it a day. Thanks for tuning in to a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. Whether you have tuned in from Canada or way down south or east or west, we love having you here. Listen to the music today. Enjoy the music in your life and the flowers. On behalf of my team, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.